Hello, everybody, and welcome back to NCAA 2004. We're here, I guess, getting towards the middle of the season, you could say. I always say that we finish at a conference with, like, that last non-con game, but we always have one straggling non-conference game, like, later on in the year that I just forget about. But either way, we are off to a 4-0 start, thanks to a conference win over Kentucky in the first couple weeks of the season every year, and that takes us into our one of our penultimate matches during the season every year that we play against Arkansas. But this time we are in Fayetteville playing the Razorbacks under the lights. I don't think we've ever had a primetime game against Arkansas during the season out of all 5 of our matchups so far. So this is a rivalry that we've done pretty well in the last couple of seasons. And I say rivalry, I feel like this one has really turned into one, as Arkansas has been one of the primary thorns in our side in the SEC, especially on our side of the SEC for the last 4 seasons. So as you can see, things are already turning into a bit of a logjam here with LSU kind of throwing their hat into the ring. So we might be having ourselves a three-way race in the SEC West. It's certainly possible. So something that we'll need to keep an eye on for certain. But Arkansas last year ended up having a 10-3 year after we ended up beating them 34-10. We were ranked second at the time, and they were ranked 8th. So we've both kind of shifted up one here, gotten a little bit better, even though I do believe that Arkansas, for the most part, is still very much the same team. I think a lot of their top pieces were juniors or sophomores last year, so I think a lot of their team is about the same. So either way, they're getting things off started very quickly, and that is a familiar face as Marcus Battle's off to the races here, and Mark Blackwell finally catches up to him and gets him by the shoestrings at about the 5-yard line. But Marcus Battle already doing some damage here, just like he did last season for the Razorbacks in a major way. And I think their quarterback is still Troy Moore as well, I think. But we'll have to wait and see if the game flashes it throughout here. But I'm pretty sure that is who is still quarterback for them. But they still have Marcus Battle. So first and goal here, man. Quarterback's going to drop back. He's going to flip one out to the end zone, and it is caught by a tight end. And the ball was in the wrong hand, or else that probably would have been a touchdown. But he gets dragged out of bounds at about the 1-yard line. So second and goal here, you could probably expect a run play to come. It's going to be a fullback dive, and it is a touchdown for the Razorbacks. And Arkansas is going to strike first here in Fayetteville. But it's okay, man. They've scored some points in this rivalry. We've seen it a little bit back and forth here. In year 4, it was 35-21, and that was a bit of a fight that Arkansas put up here. So we can expect that here. But Tim Lewis now drops back to pass here. Deep shot downfield, and it's Chad Whitaker, and he gets behind the defense, and he's off to the races. No one is around him, and he is off for a touchdown. And the Crimson Tide answer right back to Arkansas's opening drive here, as we are able to finally get some points on the board here a little bit later on in the first quarter. And just a huge deep shot here. That was a dangerous pass. Tim Lewis took the risk. Looks like Arkansas had a safety maybe try and come up on it, but Chad Whitaker able to catch it through all the noise. So 7-7 is the score after 1 quarter of play here now. After a minute or so's passed in the second quarter, again with the football, and Tim Lewis finds Jody Quinn along the sideline, who toe drags along the sideline to stay in bounds and make that catch. So very, very nice athletic play from Jody Quinn. So first and 10 here, Tim Lewis dropping back here. Pressure is on, and it gets home to Lewis, as he's got absolutely nowhere to go. And one of the most important stats from last year's game was just how much pressure we applied on the Troy Moore, Arkansas's quarterback. And it looks like Arkansas might be trying to do about the same thing here. His pressure's on again, but this time Tim Lewis gets rid of it, hit as he throws, and Chad Whitaker is on a line in the middle of the field to make that catch. So I'm not sure if Chad Whitaker was supposed to break maybe a little bit harder towards the back of the end zone, but because Tim Lewis got hit here, kind of messed with the trajectory of the pass, he just kind of had to correct here and just kind of come forward for it at the goal line. Because you see here, it's kind of an errant pass. There's a lot of Razorbacks in the vicinity, and somehow neither of them are able to make a play on the ball. But Chad Whitaker is. So 14-7 is your score, and we once again have the ball across midfield. Tim Lewis evades one linebacker just to run right into another one here. Or I think that was a D lineman, and he ends up running into a DB. Just gets absolutely clobbered there. So, yeah, pressure is on Tim Lewis. He's got to get rid of the ball quick. Not a ton of time here. So, on 2nd and 17, pressure gets picked up by Lamont Farrell. Tim Lewis deep shot towards the end zone, and it's caught. And he's going to get brought down at about the 1-yard line. And it's Chad Whitaker again, man. He's doing everything in this game. He's just been absolutely everywhere for our offense. And he gets brought down at the 1. So, on 2nd and goal, we're going to hand it off to Lamont Farrell to finish the job. And he does just that. He can be a touchdown goblin if we need him to. And that's exactly what he did here. And so before our very eyes, we have taken a 14-point lead over Arkansas, and their offense continues to struggle here in the second quarter on a 3rd and 9. Tim Lewis deep shot downfield, and it's Chad Whitaker again. I don't know who they have in coverage on Chad Whitaker, but they just cannot. They are not the men for that job, man. They are not those guys. Trust me, they're not those guys. So with a minute 17, we're going to call a timeout here because now we have goal to go on Arkansas's 1-yard line as Tim Lewis, man, is just firing off the deep shots, man. We're not seeing a ton of the run game, but we don't need to. We get a lot of success in the passing game. But we are going to give it to Lamont Farrell to try and cap off another drive, and he does again. So kind of one of those awkward dives that the AI will do sometimes when they think they can't make it or they see the pressure and they're trying to dive away from it. Barely gets into the end zone. I'm just happy that they marked it as a touchdown because that one was close. So 28-7 over the Razorbacks in the first half, man. Can you believe it? But Arkansas is not done here as that ball is flipped off quickly here. And I'm not sure, again, I didn't write the numbers down back when I wrote down the roster. So, but I think that is LaTroy Moore still for the quarterback. But either way, he's still making things happen here as it's a huge completion here. And I didn't see which defender was picking up his pride off of the grass, but I believe it is Marcus Battle who, again, making some plays here. We'll get a better look. And it is Marcus Battle, and Mark Blackwell I don't know what Mark Blackwell was doing. He just spun out and fell. I have no idea what that was. But Arkansas does finally answer back here. And so Tim Lewis drops back here, going to try and move the ball with just 30 seconds left in the half, but he's going to get strip sacked, and Arkansas is going to fall on top of it. So a huge mistake here from the Crimson Tide offense here. You're up 14 still. You really don't need to move the ball. Probably just take it into the locker room here. But, Sick Naven, we know that this Arkansas team is aggressive, and if we don't really apply the pressure on offense at all times with the ball, things could get out of hand. Case in point here is Arkansas continuing an aggressive move here on offense with just 24 seconds left in the game. They get a nice completion to get a first down, barely at the marker here, but they're going to run a hurry up. Clock has stopped to reset the chains here, but now they're going to get reset here with time ticking away. Under 20 seconds now on a 1st and goal. Moore just waiting all day to throw, and flips one over to the end zone, and that one is nearly picked off. That one very, very close to getting picked off. And I was trying to look and see on my notes. But on 2nd and goal here, Moore goes to the exact same place on the field, but this time it is a touchdown. So Kenneth Jenkins, the junior, got his hands on it the first time. And on the very next play here, Moore said, all right, well, we'll try that one again. All right, bet. And, it didn't matter. It didn't seem to work here. And that might have been Lewis Sapp who caught that, I think. It might have been. It looked like Sapp on the back of the jersey. I think that might have been Lewis Sapp, who was a sophomore last year, so he would be a junior. But the second quarter comes to a close, and Arkansas closes the gap here and gets just within 7 now. So we need an answer on offense. Tim Lewis flips one out here to the right side of the field, and it's Jody Quinn again getting some work here. And you start thinking about some of the names we haven't seen, like where on earth is Scotty Mitchell? We haven't seen much of Scotty Mitchell today. Looks like Arkansas did their homework and was not going to get burned by Scotty Mitchell in this game. So gonna have to use some other guys here. So but Tim Lewis dropping back to pass here, and on 3rd down flips it out quickly here, and I believe it's Chad Whitaker, or no, there's Scotty Mitchell right there. So Scotty Mitchell does get a catch here, but he has to come back for it, and he is tackled short. So on 4th and inches, we bring out John Bellamy, the freshman kicker, to nail this one through, and he does just that. So we extend it to a 10-point lead over Arkansas. Really would have liked to get a touchdown here, kind of keep the touchdown back and forth thing kind of going, because I think we can outrun Arkansas at that pace. But our defense does get a stop here, and finally Lamont Farrell is going to get involved in the action, as on the option play, he cuts upfield and gets inside the Arkansas 30. So we are at least looking to add another 3 points at the minimum. But on a 2nd and 3 here, Lewis going to drop back, going to try and throw for it on short yardage, going to flip one across the middle of the field, and Chad Whitaker gets absolutely clobbered, but he does haul it in. And there you can see our passing breakdown. It's really just been all Chad Whitaker. Only 5 catches, but over 200 yards now, or at 200 yards with that catch. So on a 3rd and goal, pressure's on to Tim Lewis once again, and he just somehow gets rid of the football at the very last second, man. We're just lucky that Tim Lewis is even able to pick himself up off of the grass at this point, man. He's just been getting hammered with these hits, and just that linebacker came right up the middle unblocked. Somehow that pass was just accurate enough for Chad Whitaker to be able to track it and even get his hands around it. So the DB was nowhere. It was just completely lost out there. So thankfully Chad Whitaker is the athlete that he is. But Arkansas, not done yet here. Their running back's going to get into some open space here, and he gets brought down all the way to the 20. And I don't think that's the same running back. It could be John Brooks. It very well could be. He was a junior last year, so that very well could be John Brooks. Maybe if we get a look at the name here, the nameplate, it's possible. But I'm not sure. Because I think he was like a 25 or something. I don't know. But either way, the third quarter is going to come to a close here, and now we are holding a 17-point lead over Arkansas. But they are threatening to score. So if they score here, they'll come back within 10. And on a 3rd and 3, it's going to be another fullback dive, and he's going to pick it up and get inside the 5. So Arkansas now really knocking on that door, trying to get back within 10. But they are wasting a lot of time here in the fourth quarter. So on 1st and goal here, Moore's going to try and go with the read option. He's going to keep it himself. And that absolutely nowhere to go. Probably not a good thing here to attempt to do as a McElroy, our left outside linebacker, the senior, makes the tackle in the backfield. But on the very next play here, Moore's just going to flip this one out to the end zone, and the coverage there was pretty weak. Pretty darn weak, if I do say so myself, as I think that might have been Corey Rich. Who caught that. But on offense now, Tim Lewis here going to flip one downfield, and that one is batted around about 3 different guys, tries to hit Chad Whitaker. I mean, that was a very dangerous throw to try to make, admittedly. But Chad Whitaker, I guess, did have his hands on it, so normally he comes down with that. But still, bro, in triple coverage, I'm not expecting that. That was just ridiculous. So Tim Lewis, man, coming up with some pretty bad turnovers himself here just to keep Arkansas in this game, in a game where I guess, depending on how, looking at how well our offense has played, really should not be as close as it is. But 3rd and 4 now for Arkansas, and Moore. He can't get there. He can't. As McElroy once again in the backfield to get to the quarterback. So Arkansas struggling here. On a 4th down, they're going to have to get it here if they want to continue this drive and this rally. And I think it's Marcus Battle across the middle, and it is, who gets the completion here. And it's going to be a 1st down for Arkansas, and so their drive is going to stay alive. But they've wasted a ton of time, so now just a minute and a half. So even if they do manage to get into the end zone, they're going to need a miracle here just to get the football back and get into the end zone. But Moore tries to go the option here. Mark Blackwell gets in the backfield this time and makes a play on the quarterback. So time ticking away here, down to a minute. Arkansas being very careless with their time here, down 10 points. And on 4th and goal, he's going to flip it to Marcus Battle in the end zone. And I think Mark Blackwell was the one who got a hand on that to break that play up. And Arkansas's late rally completely comes to a deflating end as some very just poor time management in the red zone and a bad offensive play calling in the red zone really kind of leaves some points on the board here for Arkansas. Maybe could have been a different game with a little bit of urgency and I guess a little bit better play calling, but we will happily take that win on the road in Fayetteville because we're going to need it, man. We have a tough road ahead of us, especially if LSU is looking to be as good as they are. And obviously, we already know that Tennessee is going to be a formidable opponent. So this is a huge SEC game to pick up. We really cannot afford to lose to Arkansas early in our quest to win as many national titles as we want. So thanks to all the sacks here, our rushing numbers don't look that great here. But I don't think we ran the ball that effectively anyway. I really don't think the numbers were all that great. Arkansas was pretty bad on 3rd down here. Their red zone percentage, being 75 and us being 100, that's a small but noticeable difference, when you consider how this game ended up. But there's not a ton of stats I guess you could really pull from the overall game stats here. And there is LaTroy Moore. So, he is still their quarterback. Tim Lewis with a pretty impressive game here. He did have that really bad pick, and he did fumble, but still the completion percentage and the yardage here and the touchdowns, you can't be super mad. Lamont Farrell only 68 yards, but he did have the 2 touchdowns. Chad Whitaker, geez, man, have yourself a day. Absolutely no one else was feasting that well in our receiving core, but Chad Whitaker was everywhere. I don't know how you cover down Scotty Mitchell that well, but you leave Whitaker that open, you know what I mean? I don't understand the defensive strategy there. So maybe Arkansas's coordinators might need a little bit of a closer look here, a closer analysis, because that might be what's keeping Arkansas from greatness potentially. So we're going to sim through quite a bit of games here. So a funny thing to note about this Georgia game, they were ranked at the time we were supposed to play them. They were 22nd, they were 2-2, and they've since lost every game since then. So I took a chance simming through that game, thinking that it wouldn't be important, and I was right. So we ended up picking up wins against Georgia, Ole Miss, and of course our last non-conference game, Troy State. So that will put us up against the Tennessee Volunteers in Neyland. So it's a top 10 matchup. I need everybody there for that game.